Comedy Club, broadcasting live from New York with your host, Felix, and co-host, Dr. Marc. So let's have a cup of coffee and enjoy the show.
There is no heaven, there is no hell, there is only this world and its dark reflection, and we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our show. This is the Coffee Club. I'm your host, Felix, and the co-host is Marc.
And I'm right here.
Good evening, Marc. How you doing tonight?
Okay, just going over some material for the show.
Well, it's about time.
Well, somebody's got to be prepared. I know it's not going to be you.
I don't know. I don't remember you preparing this. I sent it to you. It was your job to work on it. You forgot. That's pretty normal for both of us. We forget quite often. Well, nothing to say, Marc. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can call us at 646-595-3275. I am now also opening our chat room for your chatting pleasure. Not that I don't think anybody really likes to chat around here, but let's see if we get anybody in here tonight to listen to a chat room.
You know, when you say chat, it's really a misnomer because nobody chats. If they do anything, they type.
Well, it's true. It's typing chat, if you want to call it that. But you're right. That's why he's the doc, and I'm not.
Well, you know, Felix, if anybody bothered to read the little blurb, you know, the old thing, man bites dog, you know, man cuts off head and lives. You know, stupid headlines like that sell tabloids, or at least they used to. We're going to be talking about stuff like that, weird news, but we're also going to be talking about the weird news that comes out of Congress. You know, Congress adjourned today for 5 weeks until early September, just after Labor Day. And one would seriously have to ask, what the hell have they done? Did they pass anything?
They've done what they always do, Marc.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's normal for them.
A do-nothing kind... Well, yeah, but Felix, I'm sure you remember, there used to be a time when you could reach across the aisle, when you can work together to get legislation passed. Nothing gets done. You know, you have Ted Cruz and a bunch of Republicans talking about suing the president. A news commentator today brought up a good point. He said, what's to prevent Obama from turning around and suing the Congress for not doing their job? They haven't passed one piece of legislation.
Nobody's doing anything. The president is not bending at all. The Congress isn't bending. The Senate isn't bending. I mean, there's no compromise here from either side.
It's very depressing. It truly is very, very depressing. You know, you can't pass a jobs bill. You can't pass, an extension of unemployment benefits. And who do these things hurt? They hurt the people. Yes, at the beginning we lost many, many jobs. It's starting to turn around. However, manufacturing jobs. We used to have so many manufacturing jobs in this country, and they're all outsourced now. or they're being done by robotics.
Well, the robotics, yes. Outsources because the unions hiking up the wages too much and not making it cost effective to do the work in the United States. Our people are spoiled in the United States. We need immigrants. We need illegal immigrants to do the menial labor here, while other people are unemployed. I mean, it's
Well, people used to complain about Korean immigrants when they came over because they were so hardworking. And you're right. They opened up fruit stands and the equivalent of, neighborhood bodegas, even though they weren't Spanish. But they were open practically 24/7, or at least 7 days a week. Husband and wife, the kids worked in the store. And in America, people didn't want to work more than 40 hours. Unions are good and unions are bad. Okay? I'm a union person. I know you're not. I'm a union person. But I have to tell you, after hearing about the negotiations for the new teachers' contract, I mean, they were arguing over 150 minutes a week, which is the equivalent of 2.5 hours extra to give the kids extra help. And the city came up with 3 days a week of 50 minutes, which, in all honesty, as a retired teacher, to me it made sense. Because by the time you get the kids into your classroom, get them settled and assign work, you're already losing 15, maybe even 20 minutes. Because teachers still have afternoon duty at dismissal before they can go back to their classroom. So you're winding up, if it's 20 minutes, you're winding up with 30 minutes worth of instruction. The teachers' union wanted I think it was 4 days at 37.5 minutes a day. Now, first of all, where they get that half minute is ridiculous. But that's so that it equals, I guess, the 150 minutes total. But, if you're losing 20 minutes and you're only going to have 37 minutes, roughly, to do any kind of work, all you have left is 10 to 15 minutes before dismissal. You can't do any work with the kids. But then again, I also have to say that when I was working, I used to give up my lunch period and tell the kids, I'll be in my room if you want extra help. I'll give you a pass. And I got very few people that came for extra help, assuming you didn't want to stay,
Well, that's because you taught so well that your students didn't need any extra help.
Oh, no, they did need extra help, and I was perfectly willing to give it to them for absolutely nothing. I wasn't charging any. I mean, it wasn't in the contract. This was something I was doing on my own.
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you, the chat room has got activity. People logging in, logging out, logging in, logging out. I don't know what's going on today.
Oh, in the chat room?
Yeah.
Well, but by the same token, I will say that without unions, I've read in history books, obviously, because I wasn't even born then. But without unions, you're at the mercy of your employer, who in this case would be the city if you're a teacher or a fireman or a policeman. And you have to do what you have to do. Okay. The bad thing about a union is obviously that it protects the bad and the good. It protects the good teacher, but it also protects the bad teacher.
Well, I think unions have served their purpose. We're down to a 40-hour week. All these things are not just standard. You don't have to work for a union place to get those benefits anymore. And now, in order to stay, the unions, they're pushing for more than they should be, trying to keep members in there. And I don't know if it's worth it anymore.
Well, I do know that most of my friends who weren't, civil servants, worked in private industry, in some way they were rewarded. All right, they always made more in salary than we did. They said that we were given more in medical benefits or sick days, although I know plenty of businesses where they have unlimited sick time, provided you don't abuse it.
It's most businesses give you a couple of, they'll give you probably 5 sick days a year.
Sick days?
Yeah. And on the lower end, they start you off with 1 week, a year, then they go up to 2. And some stay 2 and some go up more. Now, there still are jobs that don't give you vacation or sick days. That's what I'm told anyway. I really don't know anybody that doesn't offer that, but I'm told there are jobs that don't offer it. But we're getting off the topic. Phone number 646-595-3275. Today we're talking about politics, news, weird people, all the stuff that's going on. They call it news, but it's everything that's going on is old news. Everything that's going on these days has been going on for years and years. Russia Russian patriots, expatriates, whatever you want to call them, shut down a airplane in Ukraine. Russia shut down years back a Korean plane, passenger plane. The Middle East has been fighting.
Yeah, what are the odds that it would be the same Malaysian Airlines that was lost 3-4 months earlier?
Yeah, that's weird also.
Talk about being a hard luck airline,
Yeah, right?
But, we were...
And everybody said, we're going to fly them again. There's no chance anything's ever going to happen to this airline again.
And they wouldn't, exactly.
Oh, boy.
I'm looking through some of the weird news in the universe that you printed out, Felix. It says here, in New York State, officials suspended the licenses of 40 professional tax preparers for, of all things, failure to file their own personal tax reform returns. Here they are doing your taxes, and they never bothered to file their own.
Because they probably didn't show any of that money you guys gave them in cash.
In Philadelphia, if you try to steal money from the prayer jars in a mosque, you may get your hand righteously chopped off before you can get out the door. Okay, because that's the punishment. Sort of like going back to the Code of Hammurabi. If you steal something with your right hand, it gets cut off. These are actual stories, ladies and gentlemen. I am not making this stuff up. Here's a patient who won $650,000 in New York from a failed suicide attempt.
Okay.
He notified the subway system ahead of time. And again, they don't say whether it was New York City or whatever, but it sounds to me it's more like New York City. Notified them ahead of time that he was going to try to commit suicide. So he jumps on the track, and they didn't stop the train. It cut off his hand and something else, but he lived. But he was awarded $650,000, so go figure.
For what?
It's like the woman, I don't remember if it was a Burger King or a McDonald's. Remember the elderly woman who ordered hot coffee?
Herself with the coffee?
She burned herself.
Yep.
It says right there, caliente. It may be hot. Okay?
I thought caliente was cold.
No, frio.
Oh, frio is cold. I want to burn myself too.
But the point is, wait, there's one more I want to read, and then I'll let you look through it and peruse, because I just noticed this one.
Well, you're picking out all the good ones.
No, there's another 15 pages there. The police in Ohio County, West Virginia. Get this one. A middle-aged couple, after dinner, were taking a stroll. The wife was wearing a purple nightgown, and she was leading a man with a hooded sweatshirt who was walking on all fours like a dog. And before, the police could say anything, she said, "Relax." BJ, who obviously was her husband, this is a turn-on for him. The man gets turned on when he goes for a walk with his wife, and he's dressed as a dog on a leash. Okay.
Oh, great.
And these are actual stories.
Well, I like that's Pastor Scott Williams of the Christian Assemblies International of New South Wales State in Australia was ratted out by ex-members in the Australian Broadcasting Corporation investigating as claiming the law's authorization to sidestep biblical commands against homosexuality and to sexually train his male members into submission and obedience. That's pretty good. Okay, it is clear by now to everyone that U.S. teenagers are generally less sophisticated than, say, uncontacted South American tribes. Evidence: a 15-year-old in Lexington, Kentucky, just set himself on fire, challenged by a YouTube video. What they don't show on the video is the second and third degree burns that result. What did you think would happen, kid? I don't know. I wasn't really thinking. Okay. I don't know. Well, this one I liked. Unlucky Gerard Christian was charged with theft and burglary for stealing from his neighbors. Discovered when the tornado that hit Kingsport, Tennessee last week scattered the neighbors' possessions all over Gerard's yard. So everything that he stole just got pushed out of his house from all his neighbors. Nice. Mark, you don't seem to be into this tonight.
Well, I wasn't into it the last time either, for that matter. But, you can concentrate on that, and I'll concentrate on comparing it to the Do Nothing Congress, where how do you know when weird news ends and actual congressional news begins? Because there is no congressional news. Anything of substance that they try to pass, usually the opposing party, and it's usually the Republicans, and I'm not saying that because I'm a Democrat, it's just the way it is, they try to get an additional amendment put on it that benefits big business. They won't do anything for the common man. Like I said, I mean, in the past, congressmen and senators used to work across the aisle, extending unemployment. I mean, and let's face it, in this day and age where manufacturing jobs are being done away with, and even outsourcing jobs where the companies are just doing away with the jobs because it's cheaper to have these things made overseas. You have workers who are in their 40s and 50s who, in many cases, are really too old to be retrained. They talk about sending a 55-year-old back to community college to learn a trade. It's not always so easy. to be able to do something like that. And first you have to find something that you really think you're good at. If you had a white-collar job that was done away with, what are you going to do? Look, I'm a firm believer in that, not everyone has to go to college, or at least a 4-year college. And I think you'll agree with me, Felix.
Yeah, that's true.
There are many technical 2-year schools where you could learn a great trade if you're handy and you can do something and work with your hands and you don't mind getting dirty. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you'll have a job and you won't have to worry about being outsourced by a machine. This is what I'm concerned about. What are we going to do with people who are in their early to mid-50s, who ordinarily would work until 65, 66, so they would have another 12 to 13 more work years ahead of them, and they're sitting home. They can't do anything. Some people, and that's why we were talking at one time about, raising the minimum wage to make it livable, because in fast food stores, if you look carefully, yes, you still have a lot of kids working there, but you also have a lot of older people who are trying to make ends meet, and what they do is they work at 2 and 3 different jobs like that because they've already exhausted their unemployment benefits, and they're not earning enough. Some people still have a house. They haven't lost their home yet. They haven't lost their cars, but if they did, where are they going to go? Rents are ridiculous. In some cases, rents are higher than mortgages. Okay? So how can you pay rent if you can't pay a mortgage? And then you have a tough decision. Do you break up your family? If you have young children, do you send them to live with brothers or sisters who still have homes and are established and can afford to take another mouth in to feed?
Well, listen, if you get a job that pays $12 an hour, which is not much, you're making more than unemployment.
Okay.
And $12 jobs are around.
$12 an hour what?
Jobs are around.
No, well, you're right.
So, these guys that work on these, you can't compare this because these are young guys, but most of these gardeners, they make $100, $150 a day.
But they work very hard.
They work very hard, yes.
Listen, they work the kind of work that the ordinary American doesn't want to do.
Exactly.
I'll tell you right now, I have a brown thumb, not a green thumb. I couldn't get anything to grow. If it was up to me, I'd put down indoor-outdoor carpeting. Green, so it looks like a golf green. I would put that down because it looks so nice. But I was never one to mow the lawn. I was never one to water a lawn. So we got a gardener and we have sprinklers. And that seems to do. I'm paying for it, obviously.
And you're probably paying an illegal immigrant instead of an American citizen.
I don't know whether they are or not, but I give them a lot of credit for working. They're
working hard, but...
And the thing is, every week it's the same crew. Okay, so it's not like these people are picking up day laborers at
not
Home
saying
Depot,
they are.
or...
But most of them don't speak English.
But that's immaterial. That has nothing to do with it. Whether they speak English or they don't speak English.
But I say, if they're illegal immigrants, then they're taking away jobs for Americans.
We just finished saying, Felix, that Americans don't want that kind of job.
Well, that's whose fault is that?
Listen, I guarantee you, if there was an American who wanted to work hard, sweat in 100-degree temperatures or 95-degree temperatures and do heavy labor, all right, working on somebody's lawn, they could get a job too.
Exactly. So
for the same $100 or $150.
You don't make that much in unemployment. You make less than $100 a day in unemployment.
That's not what we're talking about. You just finished saying that these people are taking jobs away from Americans.
Yeah.
But Americans don't want to do that kind of work. That's
Then
what I'm saying.
Then it's their tough luck.
Well,
Then there should be. They go out and they beg for money in the streets if they don't want to work.
by the same token, that's why people resent Koreans who came over in that wave of Asian Americans who came over, who opened up fruit stands and worked, like I said, 7 days a week.
Why should you resent them? They work hard.
They work 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. Okay, family works with them. You know, they have the work ethic that many Americans have lost.
Well,
And part of the reason is because we as Americans have ingrained in our people that everybody should be a white-collar worker and go to college, which is what I said before, which is ridiculous. There are so many good-paying jobs for people who don't mind getting their hands dirty and who are skilled. You know, you learn how to be an electrician. You learn how to be a carpenter. Yeah,
listen, you learn how to be a bricklayer. You make a lot of money.
The funny thing is, if you talk to the average homeowner, now don't talk to me because I am not handy, but in the case of my wife, okay, she used to watch her father do things in the house, and that's how she learned to do things. Most people who were like me, who were project people, I lived in the projects my whole life, okay? My cousin lived in the projects his whole life. But when he bought a house, he learned how to do carpentry. My son's future father-in-law did the bathroom downstairs by himself. He read a book. And that's what my cousin did. He read a book. He took adult classes in the high school, learning how to use certain tools. And that's what they did.
All I'm saying, Mark, there are enough
Is give peace a chance.
jobs out there, but we America's gone to the point we're so spoiled that if I can't get a job doing this and this, I'd rather not work at all. And they don't.
Well, that's it. They stick by their guns. You know, if I can't, then I won't do anything.
So they deserve unemployment?
Excuse me?
And they deserve unemployment?
We're not talking about people like that. I'm talking about people who lost their jobs and have families who, let's say they can't be retrained because of their age. Let's say they're in their upper 50s. They still, if they were 57, 58, they still would have worked another 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Go to Walmart and give out smiley buttons.
Hey, listen, they do that. Okay?
Exactly.
There are many, people are not ashamed anymore. You could be a greeter in Walmart.
Whatever it is, but just to be unemployed because you're not happy with the prospects out there, I don't think is right.
But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about people like that. We're talking about people who actively cannot find work. Okay, and look, Walmart is the biggest how shall we say, perpetrator of not paying their workers enough, because a lot of the workers who work for Walmart are on public assistance. They still are subsidized by a SNAP card because they can't afford to buy food for their families. They work, but they don't have health insurance.
Well, I doubt if anybody who works for Walmart gets SNAP card because you have to be making less than minimum wage to get a SNAP card.
Well, I'll tell you, Felix, when they have booths set up Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter time, and they urge people to contribute non-perishable food, cans of food, that food is not going to a charity. That food is going to their own employees who can't afford to shop in their own store. Okay? Not without public assistance.
Well, as I said, I don't never heard of it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't know it. But I just know one thing. In New York, which is a very liberal state, when it comes to SNAP and all these things, you got to be making less than the minimum wage to be able to collect it.
You know, down in Florida, I know they have something, I don't know exactly what they call it, but it's for single parents who have children. It's the old version of food stamps, where they have a booklet and they tear out the booklet, and let's say they can, and you can only use it on certain food items.
Well, that's what SNAP does.
I know that. But down in Florida, they call it something else. Okay? Other states may call it something else, too. You know, you can use it for food, but obviously you can't use it. I mean, you can't use it for a candy bar or something. It's got to be, food. Well, anyway, once again, folks, the number is 646-595-3275. It is 9:30 here on the East Coast. We've been on the air for a half hour. We have seen people come and go into the chat room. No one has anything to say, it seems. Let's see if we can find some more weird news here, Felix.
Let's go back to some real news. Let's go to some real news. What's happening?
News? Okay.
What's happening in Israel? And what's happening in the Gaza Strip? What's happening all over the Middle East? What is the real fight going on there? What is everybody trying to do?
Well, let's not lose sight as to why this whole thing started. This whole thing started because Hamas kidnapped and brutally murdered 3 Israeli teenagers, young men, okay, for no apparent reason. Israel felt they had to retaliate. So 3 Israeli policemen, who obviously should know better, picked on a Palestinian youth who wasn't even Palestinian. He was an American visiting a cousin in Palestine, in the Gaza region, and they beat him up. You know, they were caught and they'll be put on trial. But still, from that, we're left with what's happening now. You know, the IDF and Israel claim that Hamas is hiding weapons in schools and hospitals. They are using innocent children and people to protect their weapons, because the Israelis claim they are only working on intelligence that they receive that says that there are weapons there that are being used against Israel and Israelis. United States gave Israel money and they built bomb shelters to protect their people, while the people in Gaza and Hamas used that same money to build tunnels so that they could go from the Palestinian side to the Israeli side and wreak havoc at the kibbutzes that are right there.
Well, not only that, they use those tunnels to go into other countries to get their supplies and stuff.
Okay.
You know, it's just a whole... It's a pretty good, big network what they built. But this happens every 2 years or so, where Israel attacks Gaza.
You know...
Because that's how long it usually takes the Hamas to build up again. And, the
Israeli ambassador to the UN said, look, Israel, like America, values life. it seems like Hamas puts their value in weapons and death. You know.
Well, definitely they don't really care about their people, that's for sure. And, when they speak to people who, what people don't realize, there's I don't know what the number is, but there's a number of Muslims that live on the Israeli side, who work in Israel, live there, and they're very happy.
You're right.
They wouldn't say it out loud to anybody because they're afraid they're going to get killed by Hamas, but they're doing very well, and they're living well. In comparison to the people in Gaza Strip, they're living much better. And do you know if Israel didn't have the Iron Dome, there'd be more casualties now than there were in the Gaza Strip, probably.
The Iron Dome is just a fancy name for anti-ballistic missile system.
Yeah, just say, but if the U.S., if Israel didn't have him and all those rockets came in,
you'd have many more deaths. Are you kidding? Of course.
I was just saying, probably more deaths than happened in Gaza Strip. There was a newscast that was done, not a newscast, some kind of a video done by Hamas, telling the people not to listen to the pamphlets that the Israelis drop and to stay in their homes and protect them.
Yeah, where do you find an enemy, okay, and put the word enemy in quotes really, but where do you find an enemy that drops leaflets and calls up homes and gives a warning to the people before they actually send the missiles over? No,
well, the problem is they're told not to listen to them. And that's where
because it works to the advantage of Hamas when they can show all these people being carried to hospitals, and they show cribs that are being bombed out and destroyed and children's toys. Okay, because unfortunately, these people are listening to Hamas.
And look what's happening in Russia now, in Ukraine, and shooting down the airplane, and all the violence is there. There's a civil war on there, and we wouldn't even be hearing about it if it wasn't for the aircraft being shot down. The Russians are supplying weapons to the Russian expatriates who are trying to take over part of, the eastern part of, is it the eastern part?
Yeah.
Of the Ukraine, and it's terrible. But and the Russians are just doing what they want. I guess is Putin the prime minister or the president? I forgot what they call him. I think prime minister, right? Putin. No, I heard people saying Putin all the time.
No, that's only you and Dapper Dan.
I've heard. Listen to the news.
You and Dapper Dan.
They have other pronunciations also.
I'll be putting you in your right place soon enough.
Exactly. But is he the president or the prime minister? Marc?
I have no idea what they call him. Premier, actually, I think.
No, he's either the I'm not sure.
Well, I'll go with president. What the hell? President Vladimir Putin, the shirtless one. Okay?
Yeah, listen, he's liked by the Russian populace, so they voted him in, and they're keeping him in the office. Mostly it's a conservative.
I understand Nancy Pelosi almost fainted when she saw him topless the first time,
I'm sure she did.
She was admiring those pecs,
Well, listen, he's a black belt karate. He teaches karate.
Hey, listen. He's the most powerful man in Russia. If you had to face him, would you defeat him? It's like, he goes up to the horse and says, now you listen to me, and the horse falls down on the floor.
Yeah, well,
come on.
I wouldn't want to fight against him. But the problem
do they still send people to the gulags and Siberia? I wonder.
The Siberia Heights, you mean?
I don't know. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, 646-595-3275. Come on, let's hear what you have to say. Well, Vladimir wants to know.
Yes, Vladimir wants to know.
Well, I'm taking a couple of minute break here.
You know
I want
what?
to make some coffee. You want some coffee?
I am going to play Vladimir. It's always fun to listen to Vladimir talk.
Oh, his speech that time?
Yeah.
The religion of Vladimir Putin is based on the idea of Orthodox Christian civilization. Christ is present and pleased when men seek to build the kingdom of God on earth. This is according to the Orthodox tradition of symphony of church and state, where the church is the soul and the state is the body. The church prepares men for heaven, while the state preserves the culture as transformed by the church. It's a partnership building a strong Russian nation.
Также важно, что на новом уровне развиваются государственно-церковные отношения. Мы выступаем как подлинные партнеры и как соработники в решении самых актуальных внутренних, да и международных задач. В развитии совместных начинаний на благо нашего Отечества и нашего народа. Россия столетиями строилась, крепла как многонациональное и многоконфессиональное государство.
As head of the nation's body, Putin is known by his people as a key member of the Russian Orthodox Church. Only a born-again type would say, a man inside a church doesn't make him a Christian any more than a man inside a garage makes him a car. But Orthodoxy teaches that if one is not a member inside the church, then he's not connected to the church's head, the Lord Jesus Christ. After a phone call with Putin on the Ukraine crisis, the Jewish press reported that Merkel said that Putin was in another world, out of touch with reality. That's not what she said. What she said was, Putin has a completely different view of the world. Indeed, he does.
В эти дни Русская Православная Церковь, весь православный мир отмечают 1025-летие крещения Руси. И позвольте мне в начале нашей встречи принятие христианства предопределило судьбу и цивилизационный выбор России. Православие стало духовной опорой, связало крепкими родственными узами Россию, Украину и Беларусь.
The West, though, has lost its vigor. It's now the haunt of Jewry, which has devastated its culture with depravity. It's at the end of history, a ghost of old forms bereft of the soul it once possessed. It's swept clean, and 7 demons have entered in its place. This is not the case with Russia. After 70 years of Jewish Bolshevik oppression, Russia is pulsing in the womb of rebirth and renewal, where Orthodox churches with its golden domes and sky blue cupolas, Christian schools, and holy monasteries are sprouting throughout its cities and dotting its countrysides. God and the devil are at war, said Dostoevsky, and the battlefield is the heart of man. Putin has drawn the battle lines. He rebukes the West for its deviant sexual mores and sick spirituality.
Сегодня во многих странах пересматриваются нормы морали и нравственности. Стираются национальные традиции и различия наций и культур. От общества теперь требует не только здравого признания права каждого на свободу совести, политических взглядов и частной жизни, но и обязательного признания равноценности, как это не покажется странным, добра и зла, противоположных по смыслу понятий.
But Obama, with Jewish children at his side selling sodomy, extols homosexuals for charting a course for a sick new world.
Third, we ask the President for his support of gay marriage, because we have...
We're almost done.
because we have 2 moms and they are just as good as other parents.
Welcome, all of you, to the White House for Pride Month. We've got some outstanding members of Congress here, including a record number from the Congressional Equality Caucus. Major General Patricia Rose and her wife, retired Lieutenant Julie Roth, are here. We've got Fred Hochberg and Elaine Kaplan, 2 outstanding members of my team who are here. I want to congratulate Nitza Quiñones Alejandro, who just a few hours ago was confirmed by the Senate, making her the first openly gay Hispanic federal judge in our country's history.
Ukraine has a choice to make. Either come under the thumb of the decadent Jewish West, or save its soul with the Christian East of Holy Russia. There is a war. It's a battle for the hearts of men.
Well, if we did have any listeners, they're all gone now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as has been our custom over the last few weeks, when it goes silent like that, that's our few moments of personal devotional. Even though this is not the religious day,
we still pray for all people who are out there.
Pray for peace.
Yep. We'll pray for something.
Pray for something is right.
All right. And hopefully something will actually come out of the prayer. For those who believe in praying and have faith. You know, I wonder if you're an atheist, you can't say, "Oh my God," what do you say? "Oh my earth."
Please, oh mysterious one, I'm praying for peace.
Or does an atheist say, "Go to hell"? I don't know. Let's go back to our more serious side, if there is one. You know, in the Gaza, only 30% of the people voted for Hamas.
37%. 30%
voted for Hamas.
Well, that's 1/3 of the people. That's a lot of people.
Voted for Hamas.
Yeah.
That means 70% of people didn't vote for Hamas.
Yeah, but who knows who they voted for? Did they vote for somebody who was pro-West? Okay.
More militant?
I don't know.
You know, they say if Hamas loses, whoever takes over for them is going to be much worse.
Well, the Muslim Brotherhood. You know.
ISIS.
No, ISIS is only something recent. Hamas
No, who
is...
could take over, I said. What I said, what would happen if Hamas gets pushed out completely? Who would take over?
Well, if it is ISIS, it's going to be worse.
That's what they're predicting. It says
Well,
the Hamas is probably the lesser of all the evils.
unfortunately, America has to learn that, we can't dictate our own personal feelings of democracy. Some regions just weren't made to be a democracy.
Yeah.
They have to be ruled by some sort of a dictatorship or the army or a king.
Some people, want to have a strong leader.
When you think about America's government, America does not have a true democracy. America has a republic, okay, the way they did in Rome, where people vote for congressmen and senators who they send to Washington, hopefully, and I stress hopefully, who are going to work toward the needs of their constituents.
And represent them.
In Greece, you had a true democracy where everybody had a vote and everybody had a say. And the reason that Greece failed was because every city-state was independent. The first thing that Rome did was annex the countries that they conquered, and for the most part made most of the free people citizens of Rome. For the most part, not always. In Greece, when they conquered somebody, the conquered country became slaves. You weren't made to feel part of a government or anything. You had basically no rights at all. So in the Middle East, when the Iranians or the Iraqis, when the Iraqis would show you their finger with the purple paint on it or whatever to show that they voted, that's about the only thing that they're allowed to do. In Iran, you have the mullahs and the religious people who run the whole show. So even assholes like Ahmadinejad and even his successor to a certain point, they're figureheads, that's all. They really have no control. The mullahs have the control.
Mullah, isn't that money?
Yeah, sort of. And, the younger people, like our version of the 60s, when you had college students rioting in the streets against the war of Vietnam or whatever, wanting peace, the college students want more and more freedom. The whole point of the Egyptian Spring 2 years ago was social media, that the young people were able to mobilize simply by going on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else they had. Okay, and they really did voice an opinion, but unfortunately, it basically went nowhere. You really don't read anything about the uprisings 2 years ago in 2012.
Which ones? What are you talking about?
The Arab Spring. In Egypt, it started with Mubarak and Morsi.
Yeah. Well, now.
And
now they're doing better under an authoritarian government. They're doing better. The army's leading it, and they're doing better. Unfortunately.
Well, you just don't hear anything about it anymore.
Well, the army's got an iron hand. Just like Mubarak had, or whatever his name was. And you don't have as many problems. I mean, look, Egypt was one of the first countries to sign a peace agreement with Israel.
Well, no, now you're going back 30 years.
Yeah, no, but they were the first country. They were never a democracy. The people in charge, the military or whoever the dictator was at the time, maybe it was a Nasser, I guess, Nasser, whatever his name is.
No. He was assassinated.
Nasser.
No. Gamal Abdel Nasser was one of the first leaders of Egypt, and he was very much anti-Israel. Very much anti-Israel.
But I thought after a while he calmed down.
Nope.
Well, then I don't know who it was, but again,
his name escapes me at the moment.
But those people were always under some kind of a. They were never in a democratic nation. But
Back in 1980, he shared the Nobel Peace Prize with I think it was Begin.
And probably
somebody.
Who's the president of the States then?
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy boy. It's about the only thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're pushing 55 minutes here, and in all honesty, no one's calling. So,
well, you know what I want to do is I want to play one song for a minute.
Well, I don't know. What song is that? We may be better off just signing off.
No. We're just going to play Roadkill Blues, one of our old favorites.
One of our old favorites? One of your old favorites?
One of my old favorites, your old favorites.
Not Roadkill Blues.
There's a raccoon on the shoulder, ain't going anywhere. There's a pie somewhere, tire track, disc fills the air. There's a piece of something over here, the rest is over there. And with 5 blues in my lunch, hey, look out for that deer, I got the roadkill blues. Got the roadkill blues. Them poor little critters don't stand a chance to distribute the super. Oh, the carnage and the heartache, don't know if to cry or puke. Dogs and ducks and squirrels, guts and gibbons, the roadkill blues. There's a mother and her ducklings, they're about to cross the road. Here comes a big old semi-truck, pulling a heavy load. He ain't got time to stop, I don't think he really cares. Next thing I know, we're just ducky go. Just a bunch of feathers everywhere. I got the roadkill blues. I got the roadkill blues. Them poor little critters don't stand a chance. Oh, the carnage and the heartache, don't know if you cry or puke. Dogs and ducks and squirrels, guts and gibbons, the roadkill blues. Look out! Trail and a bear shits in the woods. But the chicken never did cross the road, cause my pickup got him first. I got the roadkill blues. I got the roadkill blues. Them poor little critters don't stand a chance. Oh, the carnage and the heartache, don't know if to cry or puke. Dogs and ducks and squirrels, guts and gibbons, the roadkill blues. Dogs and ducks and squirrels, guts. Listen up now, you roadkill blues.
Roadkill Blues, one of our old-time sort of favorites, only because we've been playing it forever.
Well, since we've been trucking to heaven,
we started doing that, and
that's how we started out.
We do have some breaking news. Just happened. our official coffee machine has just broken down.
That's right. We bought this coffee machine. Felix bought this coffee machine when we started being the Coffee Club Network. And in a year, a little bit over a year, it's gone kaput.
Kaput.
Kaputin.
Can you believe that? So I'm going to put on my rebellious reverend hat on for a second. I know it's normally Friday, but I want to say that may the machine rest in peace. And we're looking for donations now.
Yes.
For a new coffee machine. Now, mind you, these are not tax-deductible donations, but we will take donations in any denominations of 50 cents and up. We will not take pennies and nickels or quarters, unless you give us 2 quarters or a roll of pennies. But 50 cents and up we want. And I figure the way we do, by next year this time we'll have enough to buy a new coffee machine.
Well, what are we going to do until then?
I
think we're going to have to go to the local Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks and utilize
our coupons.
They don't even recognize it anymore.
Yeah, I know. So we have a major issue on our hand.
This is a big catastrophe, ladies and gentlemen.
If there's anybody here that works for Keurig or one of those manufacturers, and if you have a
look at this. You're going for the Mercedes-Benz of coffee pots.
Of course, if you have one of those, and you have maybe
you
one that's a scratch, an open box that you can't really resell, but still works.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to have an extra coffee machine, let us know. Felix is in the transportation business. We might be able to work something out.
You kidding me? Probably it'll cost more to move it than it costs to buy it.
In any event,
I think I may have to.
I'm gonna go say Kaddish over the dead coffee pot. Felix is gonna light a candle and say a novena, and we're going to go outside and bury it in the backyard.
Yep. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and feed the hungry little guy.
Actually, we could probably use some of the dogs to start digging the hole.
Exactly. And with that, we're going to say good night, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to shut the doors in our place and be gone for the night.
We will see you on Friday night.
No, we won't. The rebellious Rev and the Doc will be here Friday night.
That's true. We change hats.
Exactly. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let us close the door and say good night.